Documenting software. Short introduction about documenting software and the Changelog database. Changelog is a database structure to manage software development. Part of the database can handle API documentation, books similar to blogging, etc., samples and more. As Changelog is a database, it is possible to search for everything. CMake documentation in Changelog. Why documenting CMake? CMake is a very special language. If Changelog is able to manage CMake documentation, it will probably be able to manage most other types of documentation. CMake users also knows about the importance of documenting. Here is what is called a book in Changelog. Books have pages, and each row is like one page in the book. Here is one row, and below is another with a text, like a sub-row. Books also have chapters, and these are found here. Selecting a chapter will select pages for that chapter. So here we have a tutorial. If I click on that, now we can see rows for that chapter, or pages if you call it like that. Databases are very good at filter data. When we select a chapter, we'll filter the result and show pages for that chapter. Introduction. Now we have the filters up here. If I remove that filter by clicking on it, the complete book is shown. In this result, there are numbers here. Clicking on those numbers opens up other results. The numbers show if there is something there. So here we have a row there where the text says CMake API reference. Clicking on that, CMake API reference functions. What we can see here is functions in the CMake scripting language. I can turn off different parts. I can open up just one. Or I can turn off, only show the text. Here is another number, and here are pages. If we click on if you have used CMake before, you might recognize that these are variables and properties in the CMake scripting language. Here there are links, and what is below these links? if I click on is add subdirectory. Well, if you click on that, it shows the API reference description for that command. Here is the number 3 and args, count number of documented args. Click on that, and these are arguments to the add subdirectory. If we go back to the book, here is a command called message in the CMake scripting language. Clicking on that will show information about the message command. And this is how the changelog works. It can link information so that if you read something, you can open up other things that relate to that you're reading about. You can also filter or search for anything that you want to find in the database. Documenting software is not just documenting code like objects and functions, etc. How to use the software is also important. In Changelog, objects can be almost anything, and objects can be linked like trees. And here we have an object tree for CMake. If I hide the text, you can see here is the root node, and here we have the CMake exe. If I click on this number, here are the command line arguments for the CMake. Teams that develop software work on different parts or components. Each component may need its own documentation. Changelog is structured to manage any number of components. If I close Windows, and we can show here system tree. Here are different systems, and in Changelog a system also can be almost anything. If we check the unit testing, boost test library, catch 2 API reference, catch command line parameters, or like have here docopt open database ODBC, or here, like here CMake. Also here are books. Here is the CMake tutorial, CMake in Visual Studio, how CMake works in Visual Studio, and CMake in VS Code. These are hashtags. If I click on that, only rows with the hashtag CMake is shown. Hashtag CMake. That row doesn't have any pages yet, so If we go back to the system result and set another filter here, we can see a lot more systems. Change. And when you work on your own projects, you may need a lot more details about what parts that belong to that project. In this view, there are only objects and books. But if we change here, I just could show here. Here are queries, different results that you can show. And primary here are objects, object tree, and system tree. Now we change to another query set. And we select it. As you can see, there are other queries here now. And we select the system tree. Now we have activities, requests, projects, books. So if I go in, click on this one, I can see activities for that system. And these are activities done during the development, like correcting bugs, improve functionality, extend, change, or requests are like different needs from others, or correct bugs that are found. The last part in this video, I'm going to show how to select, because databases are very good at filtering data, filtering information, setting different conditions to show what you are looking for. We go back to the first, and if I close this one and select here, that will open up boxes above, and as you can see, here's one column and here's one that represents that column, and chapter brief. If I click on introduction here, that jumps up there. Add conditions, type introduction. Now I filtered all rows on introduction. I remove that, select again, and you see here are different operators. For strings there are more operators. Existing, ends with begins, and set. Searching in Changelog, that was what we just did. You can also view SQL, but there are different operations that you can do with each result. You can't do depending on how the query is configured. You can do a bit more, or you can block different operations. But view SQL here, that shows the query. As you can see, the main query here is shown here. With this system selection that is used to run the changelog, it's very good to prototype databases. You can build a database very fast and get it running. So here a simplified overview about the information stored for the API part, systems, objects, functions, parameters, overloads, text, and so on. To each table you can link hashtag, links, images, files. Could check that too. Yeah, that one. Links. Here are links about CMake, and here are the books. These queries are easy to configure. It's easy to redesign the system. So, why document is important? How much are a programmer able to remember? Do you remember what you did 10 years ago? And if you do not remember, it takes time to search and read the code and update your memory. Is the code easy to read? Have you documented what you did? Are there many developers? How do each know what others have done? Software is very complex. Sharing the knowledge between developers isn't easy. Documentation that are easy to read, easy to find in, and what you're looking for is very, very important. If you spend a lot of time just to try to understand the code, what you have done or what others have done, it isn't fun to develop. And this is what the Changelog system